And to details, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held a press conference on Friday with Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez and Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo. During the press conference, President el-Sisi asserted that the joint tripartite talks with Sanchez and De Croo tackle the latest developments in Gaza Strip. President el-Sisi expressed his hope that the humanitarian truce in Gaza would be extended to ensure the entry of more aid to the Strip. President el-Sisi also stressed the importance of having safe zones in Gaza to provide secure places for those who lost their houses. The president also reiterated Egypt's firm stance towards the displacement of the Palestinians outside Gaza Strip. For his part, the Spanish Prime Minister expressed his appreciation for Egypt's role in calming the situation, stressing the necessity of delivering the relief and humanitarian aid to the people in Gaza Strip and extend the truce. Meanwhile, the Belgian Prime Minister thanked President el-Sisi for Egypt's role to evacuate the Belgian citizens from Gaza and stressed the necessity of delivering aid to the Strip. Later, Sanchez and De Croo visited Rafah border crossing, where they held a press conference. After concluding talks with the Spanish and Belgian Prime Ministers, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held an inspection tour in Giza Governorate in the framework of the President's keenness to follow up the developmental efforts in Egypt. The President inspected Amr ibn al-As axis, which connects the South Ring Road with the North Ring Road above Al-Aruba, Tirsa and Faisal streets in Giza Governorate. During the tour, the President was keen to hold a dialogue with a citizen and his family. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi attended Long Live Egypt Palestine event at Cairo International Stadium. Addressing the attendees, President el-Sisi said the Arab region is facing difficult challenges and serious escalation in the Palestinian cause. The President affirmed that Egypt had exerted utmost efforts in supporting the Palestinians and intensified communications with its regional and international partners during the past days. President el-Sisi also stressed that Egypt would never agree on forced displacement for the people of Gaza, adding that Egypt has never closed the Rafah crossing and will continue opening it for convoying humanitarian aid to Gaza. Earlier, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi welcomed the success of the mediation Egypt conducted alongside Qatar and the United States in brokering a humanitarian truce in the Gaza Strip. On his social media account, President el-Sisi also welcomed the planned exchange of hostages for prisoners. The President also stressed that Egypt will continue to exert efforts to reach final and sustainable solutions that achieve justice and impose peace and guarantee the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people. Head of the State Information Service, Dia Rashwan, said Gaza truce would start on Friday at 7 a.m. Rashwan said Egypt had received a list of hostages from Palestinian and Israeli sides who will be freed on the first day of hostages exchange. Rashwan noted that Egyptian communications and consultations are continuing with all parties regarding the truce agreed upon to take effect in the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, Egyptian aid convoys to Gaza lined in Al Arish city ahead of entering into the Strip through the Rafah border crossing. An Egyptian source said hundreds of humanitarian aid trucks would enter Gaza during the 4-day truce. The Rafah border crossing received 24 Israeli hostages from the Red Cross to transfer them to the Israeli side. In the first pause in a nearly 7-week-old Israeli war, Israel and Hamas entered a 4-day truce on Friday morning. The agreement involved a comprehensive ceasefire in North and South Gaza and increased aid to flow into the besieged Gaza Strip. As part of the deal, Palestinians will be released from Israeli jails and lists of civilians to be released from Gaza had been agreed. Israel has said the truce could last beyond the initial 4 days as long as Hamas fighters free at least 10 captives per day. The Israeli occupation military has warned hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians who sought refuge in southern Gaza not to attempt to return to their homes in the northern half of the territory, the focus of Israel's ground offensive. Arabic language leaflets dropped Friday over southern Gaza said that the war has not ended yet and people should remain in place. The leaflets said returning to the north is prohibited and very dangerous. Despite the warnings, some Palestinians were seen walking north along Gaza's main highway. And back home, where the National Election Authority said that it launched the database of the polling stations of the upcoming presidential elections through its website. Earlier, the authority said it concluded the necessary preparations and procedures of the upcoming presidential elections abroad, which will be held from the 1st to the 3rd of December at the headquarters of the Egyptian diplomatic missions and consulates. The elections abroad are held in 137 embassies and consulates in 121 countries across the world. The campaign of presidential candidate Abdel Fattah al-Sisi visited injured Gazans in Al Arish Hospital. Head of the campaign, Councillor Mahmoud Fawzi, visited the injured and asserted the presidential candidate's keenness to continue Egypt's historic role to reach a just and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian cause. The campaign also participated in the Sound of Gaza from Sinai event with the participation of the Council of Tribes and Families. Councillor Mahmoud Fawzi said that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi gave his directives to develop Sinai since he took office, adding that Egypt spent £600 billion on Sinai. Meanwhile, the Congress Party in Gharbiya Governorate and the coordination of youth parties and politicians organized a mass conference in the city of Tanta within the framework of supporting the presidential candidate Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the upcoming presidential elections. The attendees affirmed their support for presidential candidate al-Sisi in the upcoming presidential elections to complete the development process and build the new republic. They also asserted the necessity of positive participation in the presidential elections. Presidential candidate Farid Zahran held a mass conference in Edfu in Aswan Governorate. During the conference, Zahran reviewed his electoral campaign, which is based on political, economic and social axes. Meanwhile, the official page of the candidate of Republican People's Party in the upcoming presidential elections, Hazem Omar, published his economic program. The program includes reforming of the state's general budget, improving tax policies, increasing production and social services, and expanding the participation of the private sector in various domains.